to Peter Fleming. Thank you so much for being here, and I want to pass the floor to. Perhaps I'll just stay on with you for a while, and before you get into it, perhaps Peter,
Sam,
can
you
you
need to
introduce?
unmute him. Yes, yes.
Okay, can you maybe introduce a bit about yourself here? Yeah,
sure.
You can.
Sure. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Michael, for the kind words and the introduction, the opportunity to address you all today. I want to honor all of you for being here and staying to listen to this. Well, it's really a preview. So as Sam mentioned, we've discussed this for a little while about doing a workshop, how we can get the most out of this. And that workshop will be on the 30th of January. I'll get to this in later. For myself, let me just see if I can share charts here. Just give me a second. Okay, can you all see that? This is the flyer for today's session. So it's really a preview of the session to come. I do have a couple of charts on myself, and I sent a few to Sam yesterday, but apparently didn't get through. So anyway, so without further ado, let's get to it. Why it's vital to set effective goals for your Kangen business in 2021. And not just for your Kangen business, as we'll discover. So the agenda is we're going to set some, talk about setting priorities. Setting priorities is not the same as time management. Some of you will have done time management courses before. It's not the same thing at all. We recognize that there is competing priorities. We don't all have the same priorities, and even the priorities we have, we don't really document them in a way which is, or use them in a way which is actually enhancing our life. Choosing on purpose is, I'll come through that. Goal setting itself, why do we do it? Why don't we all achieve the goals that we do set? There is, in fact, a better way to do it. We'll talk about some methodologies, and then I'll talk a little bit about the workshop itself that's coming up. So a little bit about myself. This is a lot of words here. I've actually got several charts on my in part of my file, but just summarized here. So I'm an accountant. Sorry about that. I've been most recently a CFO in a global software company. Before that, I was in management consulting. I'm a chartered management accountant, if that's meaningful for anyone. Specialized in change management. I did a lot of work with change, which got me into the whole area of psychology, people development, and so on. I've spent all my career in Asia. I got qualified in the UK, but my first job was in Dubai. Dubai was a very different place back then, and I came to Singapore in 1986. I'm a certified NLP practitioner, certified career coach. I've done many, I've had a coaching business before. I've invested a lot of money on personal development, and I'm an author of a best-selling career guide called Do What You Love, Love What You Do. More of that later. I've written a series of success, A to Z of success books, and one of which was insurance that sold out at an event a few years ago, etc., etc. So I'll skip past that. I'm probably best known in the Kangen world for being the husband of Judy. So
ex-boyfriend.
So let's start. Are you getting the results you want in your Kangen business and your overall life? Very, very broad and relevant question. I think some people probably are, some people maybe not. If yes, please do share your secrets. I think we'd all like to hear from you all how you're doing that. If no, do you really have any idea at all why you're not? Why you aren't getting the results that you want? Two of the main reasons are, one is inadequate management of priorities. People, I hear so many people in the world, not just in the Kangen world, saying there aren't enough hours in the day, I don't have enough time, there's never enough time for this or that or the other. And the second is ineffective goal setting. So we're going to address these two in the broader workshop, but also in this session briefly. So my overall mission in life is to positively impact 1 million people. So it's a pretty bold mission, but we're doing that through a number of different ways. Setting priorities. So setting priorities is, like I said, some of you will have done time management courses in the past, or you've heard of time management, or you've studied it. There's no such thing as time management. No such thing. We can manage priorities, but not time. Only God can manage time. We can't manage time. We've only got 24 hours a day, every day of the week, every day of the year. Sorry, somebody's writing on the screen. I think Michelle, looks like. I'm not sure what that's about. We can manage priorities. So that gives us an opportunity, therefore, to, in effect, manage time. Warren Buffett thought it was important enough to say this. He said, make a list of the top 25 things you want to do in life. Do the top 5 and never think about the other 20 ever again. That's a pretty harsh and abrupt way to do priority setting, but I think there's and I've got a similar view on the matter. Because that's what clutters up our time, our priorities, takes our time away from more important things. So there are many competing priorities, of course. We've got family, career, community, our health, etc. We've all got these things which compete with one another, because for our time, we only have 16 hours of wakefulness in a day, and we've only got so many hours to spend on each of these things. So we all have the similar kind of issues. This is something that I share with my corporate clients, and some of you will have seen it before, called a priority management matrix. So on the left side, you see the level of urgency going from low to high. On the bottom, you've got level of importance going from low to high. So the idea is to every task that comes your way, you put it into one of these 4 categories. And most people think that this red square here is where they should spend most of their time. That's where the quality is. That's where the outcomes are going to be decisive, etc. Because it's very urgent, very important, but that's not wrong, not right at all. The area of quality here is this one here, where we in fact are more at rest. We do long-term planning. We do what we call visioneering. And we have a very restful and thoughtful time to ourselves to do these kinds of activities. If we are in a high urgency quadrant, this one, guess what? We don't do any of that. We tend to stumble from one thing to the other without a break and never actually get down to the important stuff. It's always attending first to the urgent. So we will explore this in the workshop in more detail. I think some of you will recognize where you're putting your time in what you think are your priorities. You might be actually spending time in the wrong quadrant. By focusing, we can do something I like to call living intentionally. So most of us are kind of drifting from one thing to the other. Living intentionally is really about setting your priorities, setting your goals, and living according to those things. This chart we will go through, we'll do an exercise actually for you, each of you, to set your own priorities. This is a list of 45 priorities, and you'll be invited to choose the top 10. So this list of 45 is not something I came up with. I've adapted this from a university study many years ago, and every time I deal with a client, I ask them to go through the same exercise. It's vitally important. I'll explain in a moment. but choosing the top 10, therefore you come onto this sort of summary sheet with those 10. And just to take an example, if you come up with these 3 as your top 3, inner peace, career satisfaction, I mean, there are 45 there, so you choose whichever is critical to you. There's no right or wrong. There's no, I'm different from you, you're different from your spouse. We're all different. In the workshop, we will focus on whatever you choose to be your top 3. And we will, if Kangen business is not in the top 3, we will add that as a 4th. And we will set goals only around these 4 areas. So you'll be invited to set goals in areas that you say are priorities. The reason being is that if you make an impression or an improvement in one of these 4 areas, it'll have a significant impact on your life. If you do 10% improvement in any of these top 4, you most likely it'll affect your life quite a bit. If you make a 500% improvement on your 35th priority, it'll make very little difference to your life. So that's why it's very important to know where to spend your time going forward and set goals around those things. So setting goals and achieving goals is, why do we set goals? We could have a whole discussion around why we set goals. Here's what some thinkers and philosophers have to say. Alvin Toffler, who's the author of Future Shock, a major book written quite a long time ago, but it's still relevant today. You've got to think about big things while you're doing small things, so that the small things go in the right direction. Isn't it true? You've got to think about, so coming to this Zoom today, even just a simple thing like that, you had to set a goal. You have to say, well, okay, I need to be there at a particular time. I need to have the details of how to log in. So, and then you work back from there till this morning about, okay, I need to go and do my shopping in the morning or whatever you do in the morning. And you have to come back by 11:15. I have to log on. There's a lot of things to be done, small things. But if you don't know that you're going to attend this Zoom session, you won't have done any of them. You won't have done any of those things leading up to it. So it is with long-term goals as well. Dennis Waitley said, goals provide the energy source that powers our lives. So one of the best ways to get from the end, excuse me, one of the best ways we can get the most from the energy we have is to focus it. That's what goals do. They concentrate our energy. Isn't it true? If you remember nothing else from this, why we set goals part, remember this a Harvard study that was done a number of years ago. 3% of graduates with written goals earn 10 times the amount of their goalless contemporaries. Now, these folks are not unwise. They're not foolish. They're Harvard graduates, right? And some are earning 10 times more than others. And the difference here is they had written goals. Even the ones with unwritten goals earn 3 times as much as their goalless friends. So setting goals has definite and measurable results, even among pretty smart people. So 3 things, I'm going to focus on many things in the workshop. It's as Sam said, it's almost a full day. It's going to be about 6 hours in duration. But for today's session, because for time, I'm going to just touch on some elements of these 3 areas. So, how do people set goals? Why do people sometimes fail to achieve their goals? And what are the key characteristics of what we call effective goals, goals that actually work? Now, there are many models. This is my model of how we do this. I'm not going to go through this, thankfully, about what is this 5P over here? What is this 5P down here? What are all these other things? We haven't got time to go through it here, but suffice to say there are models of how people do it, and there are many out there. This is mine, like I said. So most people, if they're setting goals at all, will have come across this thing called SMART. And there are some benefits to just following SMART. For those who are not familiar, it stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-based. There are different versions of what SMART stands for, but this is the most common one. So the problem with this is here, realistic. People will set a goal and they'll say, well, I want to be 5% better off than last year, 5% more income, or 5% of, however you measure that particular thing. The problem with that is everybody has what we call a psycho-cybernetic mechanism happening in their subconscious mind. In doing a 5% increase, you will most likely have a good chance of achieving it. But you will also miss out on a 50% or 100% or a 200% improvement, because that never entered your head. You never thought that's possible. So you just said, well, 5%, I think I can achieve that. So that's what I'm going to do. So that's really the problem in setting SMART goals. I'll come to an alternative methodology shortly. Second is why do people sometimes fail to achieve their goals? Everybody has set a goal in the past, including New Year's resolutions at this time of year, or just maybe a few weeks ago, as we came to 1st of January, say, okay, this year I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to stop smoking, I'm going to lose weight. And usually by 5th of January, you've totally gone off the resolutions and you're back into your old methods. So why do people sometimes fail to achieve? Setting them is easy, ignoring them is easier. That's why. It's easy to set goals. Setting goals in itself has really no value. If that's all you do is set the goal, it really has very little value. So some people say, well, I want to be, I want to get to -3 this year, or I want to become a 6A this year. All good starting point, but that's definitely not the ending point. So again, I have a life success model, and I'm going to refer back to this in general. These are the areas we set goals in typically. I call it the 5 W's, wealth, work, wellness, and so on. And we have this thing here called the 5 A's. I'll explore this in just a moment. The 5 A's, aspirations. Aspirations is the goal setting part. But as you can see, there are 4 other areas. Aptitudes, which are skills, attitudes, associations, and actions. So there's a little explanation of what they are there. These are the 5 areas that if you cover all of the 5, if you do all 5, not just aspirations, your chances of success much, much, much higher. And each has a multiplier effect on the other. So if I were to ask you, Michael, can you unmute, Michael? Can you unmute yourself?
Yes, Peter.
I were to ask you, Michael, on a scale of 0 to 10, how good are you at, say, setting goals? Number 1, the first one, aspirations. Just quickly, number.
Say 5.
Okay, 5. Can somebody get a calculator, please? Just we're going to multiply these numbers together. Skills that make a difference. Michael, are you very skilled?
Skills that make a difference? Oh, yes, I am.
Okay.
Recruiting things like that. 7.
Right. Mindset.
7.
Success. You have a good
Mindset
attitude?
and attitude, I would place at 8.
8. Very good. How is your network? How is your relationships with other?
High. Very good. I put it at 7 to 8. 8.
7 or 8. Okay, good. And action plan?
Action plans, I would put it at 8.
8. Wow, very good. Excellent. So can somebody multiply those numbers together? Sam, are you doing that?
It is 0.18.
I'm sorry?
0.18.
No.
0.18.
Multiply 5, what was it? 5 times 8 times 8 times 8.
Yep, 0.18. The answer, I will get off, unless my maths is bad, right? I can't need the, okay, what's the numbers again? 0.5 times?
It should be a few thousand.
Oh, sorry, I was like point something rather than.
No. So the actual numbers, 5 times 8 or whatever they were.
5 times 7 times 8 times 8 times 8, Sam.
It's 8,960.
Excellent, excellent. So, Michael, anything, if you want better results in your life, you just need to increase any one of these.
Sure.
You just need to go from 8 to a 9 or 5 to a 6. That's all you need to do. That number, the 8,000 odd number, is your kind of level in life. So if you want to go to a 10,000, you just need to increase one of these. Now, conversely,
Actually, sorry, Peter. According to Herman's calculation, is 14,143,360.
okay, all right.
143,360.
Wow. Okay, that sounds much too high. But anyway,
Is it good?
regardless of the number, we can figure out the calculations later. Regardless of that number, the whole idea is that you have a number.
Yes.
And to improve life, you need to increase one or more of those numbers. So if you go from 5 to 6, you will increase the overall number by 20%. Is that amazing?
Yes, yes, will be.
Now, conversely, if any of these go to 0, so for example, some people, the first 4, they might be 9 or 10 even on the first 4. If they don't take any action, 0, guess what? The whole thing is 0.
Yes, you're right.
Does it make sense?
Yes, makes sense. Makes sense.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Peter.
All right. So if your habits don't line up with your dream, then you need to either change your habits or change your dream. John Maxwell, who's a leadership guru, says this. So either you're going to change one of them. You can change your dream to meet your habits, or change your habits to meet your dream. So most people, if they have a dream, they need to adapt their habits to accordingly, right? The other reason people don't succeed with their goals is they don't understand this rather colorful diagram, which is they set out with their goals, but they don't surround it with desire or passion. They don't have place it in their attention. They don't have belief. They don't expect it to happen. They don't recognize when things are going wrong, that they need to do something about it. And they don't put themselves in a physical sense of being able to achieve it. So when you see all of this together, there's a lot of things down here. We will cover this in the workshop, but basically these are the reasons why people are not making it. They have goals, but there's a lot of other things that they need to do. If they're not passionate about their goals, like any of us, if we're not passionate about something, chances of losing 10 pounds from our weight, for example, not going to happen if we're not passionate about it. We need to be very disciplined as well. Third item, getting back to this, what are the key characteristics of effective goals? So I have a methodology which I've used a number of years called First ACT. It's an acronym, just like SMART is an acronym. It covers a number of the same things. This is what it stands for: fantasy, inspiring, recognition, specific, teamwork, action, checklist, terrifying. So I'm just going to give an example of one of these, which is the fantasy. So what F is for fantasy. So that is the actual visioneering to come up with something which might sound preposterous, but it's something that you want to do. Why do we set big goals? Why do we want to have a fantasy rather than the 5% increase that I mentioned earlier? This is a reason. If your income goal is $1,000, whatever, just take the number, 1,000. Your final result is 1,800. Wow. Degree of success plus 80%. Very good. Isn't that good? Or you set a goal of 10,000. Your final result is 2,000. It's a disaster. You've missed by 80%. You missed by 80% versus this guy. He succeeded by exceeded by 80%. But look at the final result. This guy made more than this guy. By setting a big goal and missing big, you actually make more than setting a small goal and succeeding big. So you see the value here of making very, very big goals. Key point. If you want to live achieve extraordinary things and live an extraordinary life, you need to develop an extraordinary ability to think big or bigger, an extraordinary tolerance of failure. So this guy needed an extraordinary thick skin to get through the failure, because if he goes around telling people, hey, my goal's 10,000 and he hits only 2,000, that's pretty embarrassing, right? It could be for some people. But nevertheless, he did better than if he'd set this goal. So this is a key point, that we need to have a tolerance for failure if we're going to pursue an effective goal-setting strategy. This is how goals are met. Simple, right? Could it really be any simpler? Set the goal, make the plan, get to work, stick to it, and reach it. Very simple. So we've covered aspirations. That's the goal-setting part. We get back to these other 5 A's. I just want to, we're going to go in detail on this in the workshop, but for time reasons, I want to just show you this particular one, an example of attitudes. So Michael said he got a very good attitude, and I know he does. So, and many people have a good attitude, but there's many things that we can improve as well. This is a common statement. I'm sure everyone in this room has heard somebody at one time say this: I'll believe it when I see it. So when you're doing the Kangen demo and people say, well, I don't really understand it, I'll believe it when I see it. I need to do the trial, I need to drink the water, I need to see all the research. Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. The more successful people in life say this: I'll see it when I believe it. I'll see it when I believe it. They believe it first, then that belief propels it into reality. Now, again, Michael, I'm going to ask you to assist, if you don't mind.
Okay, Fleming.
Tell me what you see on this chart. Can you see anything?
Blank. It's a white chart.
Totally white.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, there's some writing at the bottom.
Okay. Can you see anything now?
Yes, I can see some dollar signs, I think.
How many can you see?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at least. The smaller ones at the bottom is too small for me.
No, no, there are 5. There are 5. Now, pay attention. This is chart number 58. Can you all see this chart 58? Can you see that, Michael?
Yes, on the bottom left.
Okay, now pay attention. Now watch carefully. Is it still 58?
Makes me a bit colorblind now. I cannot see the figure correctly.
Okay, it's 58. just trust me for a moment. Now, where were all these other dollar signs, including this huge one right in the middle here? Where were they before? Let me show you again. Start off with 5 here.
Yes.
E5.
Mm.
There's no trickery in this. Let me show you again. Where were they?
Not visible on the first first line. Not visible.
But they were there.
They were there. Yes, you are right.
Very good. So I'll get back to the chart I just mentioned. I'll see it when I believe it. So if you believe that there are things that you cannot necessarily see, that's where your faith comes from. Your sense of belief in your own goals, in your own abilities, in your own success. So I've skipped through all of the charts fairly quickly. I don't know if there's any questions at this point. I've left some time for Q&A at the end. I just wanted to then get onto the actual workshop that we are planning for the 30th. This is the flyer for that. I'll be sending it to Sam today, just to make sure that I've got all the timings right and everything. The idea is we will start at 1 p.m. Singapore time, and Malaysia time, of course. All the other times are there. I think we've calculated it correctly, but to try and accommodate folks in Europe and elsewhere. So it'll be about 6 hours, including breaks. So we'll probably have an hour for lunch and things like that. It will be, not we're not going to have to be too formal on this, but should be around 6 hours in total. So there'll be a lot more, obviously, of this methodologies and examples and why it's important, etc., and really how to do it. Today is more about why it's important, why it's useful to set goals. We're going to go into much more detail of the how. So let me just show you this bit here, which may be a bit small on the screen. I'm going to enlarge it in a second, but it's going to look something like this. What will you get from this workshop? So I've just listed down a few of the desired outcomes. You will get to establish and align your priorities. So that exercise that I mentioned with the 45 priorities, it's a very, very valuable exercise. I'm actually creating an app for this. Put it out for. It's actually about 90% done already, but it's probably not ready in time for 30th. So it'll be an app where you will go through and you'll come up with your top number 1, number 2, number 3 priorities, and then we will look at setting goals around those so that you spend the time and effort and resources that you have, scarce as they may be, on those top priorities, because that's where the big difference is going to come from. Have a clear idea of the most impactful areas to set goals. Enhanced understanding of the art and science, including psycho-cybernetics. Some of you may know what is, there's a book called Psycho-Cybernetics by a guy called Maxwell Maltz. If you haven't read it, please do. It's a fascinating insight into how we operate as individuals and why, and the whole idea of goal setting, actually. I've read it a number of years ago and probably due for a reread. It's very good, and we'll touch on that to some extent. I call that the science of it, and the detailed understanding of 5 A's. And the first act, I talked about 5 A's. We will go through that in much more detail, of course. First act, there is a definite sequence and characteristics of a goal which will make you have more success than others. So the first act is what that is. Personalized and written life-changing goals on a goal card. Now, let me just show you this thing. Can you all see this? Sorry, my background is a bit, it's spoiling the, there we go. So this is just a normal like name card size piece of paper. It happened to be goldish colored. When I first started learning about goal setting, it was from a gentleman who you all know called Bob Proctor back in the 90s, quite some time ago now. And all I heard what him saying was he was talking about a goal card, G-O-A-L. But all I heard was G-O-L-D. So for years I thought that he's talking about a gold card where we write down our goals. Because as I mentioned in the Harvard example, writing down goals is terribly important. So he mentioned this thing, and I took it as a gold card. So when I teach this, when I train people in doing this, I always ask them I give them, if we're in a live seminar, I will give them each a gold card to write their goals on. And that's something you keep with you. And you should duplicate as well, not just have one. But this is something you can put on your dashboard of your car. You can put it in your bathroom mirror, put it in your pocket, put it in your wallet. Just take it out twice a day or 3 times a day or as many times as you can. and just look at it and say, you know, just remind yourself so that you psychosomatically lock down those goals as you've defined them. So there's work to be done before you can know what to put on these gold cards, but that's the process that we go through. So it all ends up with a gold card. That becomes your goals. A template for achieving your goals. So that is the 5W, 5A model that I mentioned, and is really to enhance the number that Michael came up with, whether it's 8,000 or 0.18 or 140,000. Is not important what it is today. It's important to establish a baseline, but more importantly, what can I do to improve that number? And small differences can in fact make a big difference to your outcome. A model for setting and achieving team goals. So in the Kangen business, as we all understand, you know, we're not an island. We're not operating by ourselves. We have a team. So if your goals and your uplines goals and your downlines goals are out of alignment, your chances of success are lower, for sure. How do you get them in alignment? Well, discussion needs to take place. But instead of just discussing some of the things that perhaps you discussed right now with your upline and your downline, there's something that you can align around and a model that you can do that to set effective team goals. Now, you might not agree on everything. You know, your goal as my upline might not be the same as mine, but you should know mine and I should know yours and see where the common areas are so that we can have dialogue going forward. So that's an important part for a business like Kangen. Inspiration to stretch your vision. Again, set big goals, crazy goals, but not impossible goals. Then they should never be impossible. They should just be this side of impossible. But stretch your vision to see a better life and imagine what your life can be like in future. Learn the life skill. This is not something we do once a year or once in a lifetime. We don't set goals now for the rest of our life. We set goals, and from time to time we adjust them. Not just once a year. We can do it on a more regular basis, quarterly, monthly. I mean, businesses do this all the time. Corporate businesses. Why aren't we doing it ourselves? We adjust them depending on the situation. Now, if you set a goal for 2020 in January, for example, by March, your goal was out the window. COVID came and most people's goals were kind of totally disrupted. So that's an event which you need to take into account. Now, some people's businesses went up. Some people's businesses totally collapsed. So it's an externality which will come in and something to be recognized rather than fearful of. And we will have some surprise bonuses. We're going to have some goodies, gifts, and things of that nature that we'll throw in for people who behave themselves and cooperate. So just like there are bonuses like that during the EKW sessions, we will have some of those things. So it's going to be an interesting day, I think. It's going to be a fun day, 30th of January. Here's the details. If you go to kangengoals.com, you're going to see something like this. This is a website to sell my book. So there's some narrative there which relates to the book and my career guide and so on. You can just ignore that. When you download the book, it'll invite you to pay. At the moment it's $25 and that'll be up to Sunday. So there's an early bird ticket up to 24th Sunday, $25 US. So you get the book for free. And after that, there'll be 35. So some incentive to do that beforehand. A little bit of testimonials for myself, for my public speaking business. I've done quite a bit in the past. These are some of my training, my corporate training clients. These are the countries I've operated in. Sorry, these are the clients. So there's quite a few multinational type customers here. There's a number of smaller companies that none of you will have heard of. They don't even have a company logo, but they have. I haven't included Magic here, even though I've done some training there as well. These are the countries I operated in: Singapore, Malaysia, Philippines, etc., etc. This one's Macau, in case you don't recognize it. Indonesia, India, and Thailand. So quite a few countries in the region I've done that in. I've got a whole bunch of individual testimonials, which happy to share more on. People who've kindly given me good comments, all this stuff. So I'm not going to it sounds a bit boastful, but just to so you recognize that there is some value to be had perhaps from this particular session. So this is the flyer. Like I said, later today I will give it, I'll post it to Sam, and then he can distribute it accordingly. Of course, it's not just for the Malaysia team, it's not just for Sam's team, it's the Singapore team as well. I mean, our own team and anybody else who's tuned in at the moment. So that's really it, really. So I've left some time. I've got a little bit of time left for Q&A, so I'm happy to take any questions about the workshop, about goal setting. Go ahead. Thank you for your time.
Let's all give Peter a big hand, everybody. All right. Okay, who here has really gotten value from the last, just for today's session? Can you just type in? Can you just type in V for value if you've already gotten value just from this session? All right. So Peter, I have one request though. All right. Can you move the timeline? Can you start an hour later to 2 p.m.?
Oh yes, sure. Sure.
So this is to cater to those guys in the UK, because if you start at 1, it'll be like 5 o'clock in the morning. If you move it to 2 p.m., it'll be 6 for them, right?
Sure. Yes.
So that'd be great. Okay. So it's fine.
I'll change the flyer accordingly to 2 p.m. and then I'll change all the other timings as well. Yeah.
So the timing is, would that be a break for would that be an intermission?
Yes.
At all?
Yes. So we'll have several breaks, including when we're doing, there'll be various exercises. So there'll be, like, I'll give you 15 minutes to do a particular exercise, for example, so people can go to the loo and so on. But we'll have a longer break, maybe 45 to an hour, somewhere in the middle. It won't be in the middle for it won't be at lunchtime or dinner time for everybody, but for, I'll try and pick a time where it's appropriate to break.
Okay. Okay, please. Okay. Can you just check your message? I'm typing to you on the Zoom call.
Oh, sure. We can take, I mean, on Zoom, we can do up to 500.
Okay. All right. So, okay. So guys, who here already have decided to come for this workshop with me and Francesco? All right. Who's coming? Just type in, if you're coming, just type in an I. Just type in an I if you're coming. All right. Okay, great. All right. So for those of you, I think this is going to make a huge difference to your Kangen business, right? Just from those things there. I mean, I've been doing a lot of goal setting myself, but my goal setting, I'll just take, and I've gone through a lot of goal setting, but it's like a 15 to 30 minutes exercise, right? And I feel that somehow that is not complete. So that's why I wanted somebody to come and do a really an adequate goal setting workshop for everybody here. So this is something that you also wouldn't want to just come alone. Your Kangen business is your team effort. So you can't afford you can't afford to just come alone. Sorry, you can't afford to come without your team. So I would encourage you, right? I'll be sending out the flyers to you guys. But meanwhile, Peter, can you just share the flyer again once more so that people can take a screenshot? All right, thank you. So just everybody, if you want to take a screenshot, please take a screenshot, except that the timing will be changed to an hour later. All right, so for the UK, it will be changed to 6 p.m. All right, for India, it's going to be changed to 11:30. No, yeah, 11:30. Okay. Are there any questions from the floor that anyone having any question? Can you just type into raise your hand on the participants or type in the chat box? Any questions there? No questions? So anyway, Peter, thank you so much for making available this workshop for all of us and coming on today. I've really gotten value here. Okay, so let's all give a big hand again to Peter, and we'll see you folks. For those guys who are going to attend on the 30th of January, we'll see you there. All right. But before we end, again, I want to just stress again, this coming weekend, the Essential Kangen Workshop. Get